Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you know you're right, yet no matter how many facts or logical arguments you present, the other person just refuses to get it? You lay out everything perfectly, well-reasoned, evidence-backed, but they stay firm in their ignorance, draining your mental energy. Sound familiar? This is the intelligence trap. It's when you assume others value truth the same way you do, and believe that presenting the right evidence will make them understand. But the reality is harsh. Logic doesn't always win, especially when you're dealing with someone who doesn't value it. And the more you argue, the more you drain yourself, leaving you mentally exhausted and questioning whether it's all worth it. The key to breaking free from this cycle comes from understanding Schopenhauer's philosophy. The real battle isn't about proving you're right. It's about power dynamics in human interaction. Once you recognize this, you can engage with people who don't value logic without losing your energy. The intelligence trap begins when you assume that the world values truth as much as you do. You think that if you just present the right facts, anyone would logically come to the same conclusion. But Schopenhauer would argue that this belief is misguided. People don't argue to find the truth. They argue to assert dominance. They want to win the debate, not discover what's true. This is where the Dunning-Kruger effect comes into play. It's a phenomenon where those who know the least about a subject tend to have the most confidence in their views. It's frustrating when someone who knows nothing about a topic speaks the loudest, rejecting all evidence and facts. But here's the deeper truth. They don't want the truth. They want to be right. And you're draining your energy trying to win a battle that's not about facts, but about power. The way people defend their ego directly affects their cognitive processing, causing them to rely more on emotional reactions than logical reasoning. When their beliefs are challenged, it's not just their logic that's threatened, it's their ego. And when the ego feels threatened, it reacts aggressively. Here's an example of how this plays out in real life. The evidence shows that modern art has value beyond just aesthetics. Fool, I don't care about your evidence. You're just being arrogant. This is a clear illustration of how a fool's ego can shut down any rational argument. Their emotional reaction kicks in, and they stop listening altogether. This isn't about ignorance alone. It's about self-preservation. A fool will reject reason to defend their fragile sense of self. This emotional reaction is connected to how we process information. Our brains function in two modes, System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, emotional, and instinctive. It's the automatic, reactive system that governs the way we respond to situations quickly and without thinking. System 2, however, is slower, more deliberate, and logical. It's the system we use when we analyze a situation carefully and think things through. The problem arises when you, operating in System 2, try to communicate with someone operating in System 1. You're trying to present well-reasoned arguments while they're reacting emotionally. You're offering nuance, evidence, and facts, but they're only interested in their immediate emotional reaction. The disconnect between these two systems leads to frustration, because no matter how logical your points are, they won't make an impact on someone stuck in System 1. So, what's the solution? Schopenhauer's method is brilliant. Agree with them, but take it to the extreme. Instead of arguing against their flawed reasoning, agree with them so fully that their argument becomes absurd. By doing so, you push their belief to its logical, ridiculous conclusion. Here's how this works in practice. Person A the fool. All modern art is a scam. Anyone could paint a masterpiece. You the intelligent person, exactly. Let's quit our jobs, buy some paint, and become millionaires by Friday. Person A, wait, no, that's not what I meant. By agreeing so completely, you've taken their argument to an absurd level that forces them to see the flaw without you directly attacking their ego. Instead of engaging in a war of words, you've used their own words against them. This is how you disarm a fool without expending any more of your energy. For this strategy to work, however, you have to let go of your own need to be right. As intelligent people, we often crave recognition for our insights. We want others to see that we're right, to validate our logic. But Schopenhauer would tell you this craving for validation is part of the problem. Why do you care if someone who can't understand your logic agrees with you? Why waste energy on people who will never get it? When you stop seeking validation from fools, you free yourself from their influence. You stop giving them the power to determine your emotional state. You become immune to their provocations. By letting go of the need to be right, you gain the mental space and energy to focus on things that truly matter. Constantly engaging with a fool takes its toll. It's not just frustrating, it's draining. Every time you try to explain something rationally, they reject it without considering it. Over time, this repetitive cycle wears you down. You start to question your own sanity. The emotional exhaustion caused by engaging with someone who's not listening can chip away at your sense of self. Imagine you're at work, explaining an important point to a colleague. You've done the research, and you know your argument is solid. Yet, they insist on rejecting your reasoning, stubbornly sticking to their flawed view. Over time, this constant battle of trying to reason with someone who's not listening saps your confidence and leaves you mentally fatigued. So, how do you stop this drain? Schopenhauer's solution is to create a psychological quarantine. When you interact with a fool, you don't bring your full self to the conversation. Instead, bring an avatar of yourself. This avatar is polite, agreeable, and detached from the conversation. You're present physically, but your true self remains protected. Your avatar nods, smiles, and offers non-committal responses like, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I see what you mean." You don't engage with their ignorance, you simply observe it. The avatar technique allows you to maintain your intellectual integrity while conserving your energy. This detachment allows you to engage with the fool without letting their ignorance affect you. But what if the fool has power over you? What if they control your career, your opportunities, or your success? In these situations, the fool in power is especially dangerous because their insecurity is amplified by their position. They feel threatened by anyone who challenges their authority, and they will attack your character rather than your ideas. In a corporate setting, for instance, a boss who constantly makes decisions without consulting their team might not only lack knowledge, but also feel threatened by employees who challenge their authority. In these situations, you need to outplay them, not out-argue them. Feed their ego, ask for their advice on minor matters. Let them feel superior, and you'll disarm them. By making them feel in control, you can still operate in the shadows, working toward your own goals. Here's the hard truth: you can't change a fool. No matter how much logic, evidence, or reasoning you present, they won't change. Their ego is too fragile to accept that they might be wrong. They may never be ready to see the truth, and that's something you must accept. Trying to fix them only drains you further. Instead of trying to change their perspective, focus on managing your interaction with them. Once you let go of the desire to change them, you'll feel free from their influence and can redirect your energy toward what truly matters: your growth, your success, and your intellectual development. Once you stop engaging in endless battles for validation, something profound happens. You free up mental and emotional energy for yourself. Instead of wasting your time on fools who will never change, you start to focus on what truly matters: your own personal growth and goals. Schopenhauer's philosophy teaches us that true power lies in self-control, not in trying to convince others of our brilliance. By stepping back and observing, rather than participating in the chaos, you regain control of your intellectual and emotional energy. You stop being dragged down by other people's ignorance and start focusing on your own intellectual and personal journey. When you protect your energy, you open up space to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your success, and your future. Let go of the need to be right, and watch how your life transforms. You become better equipped to pursue your goals, achieve success, and create the life you desire, without getting bogged down by meaningless arguments that lead nowhere.